Hi everyone, I'm Shelly and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. Ever since I made the video the other day about why we chose to stop using a homeschool room, I've had the idea of showing all of you how we organize things in our very small house. Because one argument that I have seen against people choosing to homeschool is that their homes just aren't big enough. They don't have the space for it. And unfortunately, this is something that is perpetuated in the media. I can't count how many articles I've seen written by journalists who have probably never had any experience with homeschooling, talking about the importance of having a homeschool room and what you have to have in it. And it's just not the case. You don't need a big house to homeschool. You don't need a homeschool room to homeschool. You can homeschool anywhere. You could homeschool in an RV. You could homeschool from an apartment. You could homeschool in a studio apartment. You could homeschool in pretty much any way possible because learning happens everywhere. So don't ever let anyone tell you that you wouldn't be able to homeschool your kids properly. You wouldn't be able to give them a proper learning environment because where you live just isn't big enough, or you just don't have the resources available to set up a learning area for them. It's not necessary. This is my 12th year homeschooling. It's not necessary. So what I'm going to do, like I mentioned, is I'm just going to show you the very frugal and very resourceful ways that I've come up with storing our homeschooling stuff. And the funny thing about it is that even though I'm homeschooling 7 kids this year, we don't have a lot of homeschool stuff, and that has really helped. Now, since we don't have textbooks, that's huge, because imagine if each of my kids had, say, 5 textbooks times 7 kids, that would be 35 textbooks that we would have to store somewhere. So the fact that we do unit studies or interest-led notebooking, that style of learning has helped us immensely, not just with learning, but with having the space to keep everything. So now the house that I live in right now is only 730 square feet. I know that there are people who think that their 1,200 square foot home is small, but that's actually how big the house was that we came here from, was 1,200 square foot home, and we've moved here. I do have to say though that all of the space in this house is livable space. We are able to use every square inch of the house, and that wasn't the case with our other house. The other house, it was kind of just a crawl space for the attic and a concrete basement floor, so we really could only put the washer and dryer down there. Whereas here, you know, we have a full attic that is actually carpeted. It's a bedroom. Our basement, we have a carpeted bedroom down there, plus we have a laundry room right next to it. So even though it seems small, it is working well for us. And yeah, we are able to homeschool in it. So let me just give you a little tour. Okay, so here I am to dispel the notion that you either need a big house or you need a separate homeschool room in order to homeschool your children. This is my house. I am standing at the front door. That's the wall behind me. And as you can see, back through my kitchen in the back wall, that's the end of my house. This is the entire length of my house. As for the width, there's one wall, there's the other wall. So again, not a big house. My house is about 730 square feet, and my husband and I live here with 8 of our children. Thankfully, it is all livable space. The house that we actually lived in before had around 11 or 1,200 square feet, and we actually have more room here, believe it or not, because it wasn't livable space, all of it, in the other house. The attic was a crawl space and the basement was concrete, so we have full use of the attic, which is a bedroom here, and we have full use of the basement, which is mine and my husband's bedroom, and then our laundry room down there. So we're actually better off here, even though from the looks of it, you would think that this house is a lot smaller than our old one. But anyway, this is where we keep some of our school stuff. And as you can see, I don't have a Better Homes and Gardens house. I'm not interested in having a museum quality house. I just want something that is functional for us and some place where we can put our homeschooling supplies, and a place where my kids can just grow up and be comfortable and not be afraid to touch things. So right here, this is where we keep all of our binders, all of their notebooks. Down here on this shelf is where they keep their pencil boxes. Over here, this little thing and that fishing pole next to it, this is our art our art drawers, as you can see, we need to go through those and neaten it up a little bit. And you know, this looks messy here. This is actually some craft bags that my daughters had gotten at VBS. Now this bookshelf over here, this is where we keep most of our homeschooling supplies. And I have to say that this is where it really comes in handy that we do not use textbooks in our homeschool, especially considering that I'm homeschooling 7 kids this year. That would be a lot of space for textbooks. Although, as you can see on the one shelf there, that I do have Life of Fred from when we used to use it. So if all you really need are some good bookshelves, if you're homeschooling, if you need storage and you don't have a lot of room. They've saved my life. I would say though, to get a high quality bookshelf, unfortunately my husband has to keep kind of adjusting these and nailing them back together again because we got them at Big Lots. So now we've learned our lesson. But yes, bookshelves are a very resourceful way to keep your homeschool supplies in order, at least, without, you know, having that extra room. Okay, so down here is where I keep most of our homeschooling supplies. So this first bin here is our morning basket. And this is just, you know, where we keep all of the stuff that we do for the morning basket, which is like spelling and math drills and cursive and geography. And if you're interested in learning more about that, I'll leave the link in the description box for that. Although we do use we do the silent reading during morning basket time, we usually keep the silent reading in this bin just because there's no room in the morning basket bin. But this bin, other than the silent reading books, is the Bible that my girls are using, my teenage girls, for their devotional. This is my younger kids' copy workbooks, I should say my middles, and then this is the language arts books that we use. Over here in this little cube is the binder with all of the blank notebooking pages for my kids to use. We have all of their German books here, so when I say that it's time for German, someone just takes them and usually hands them out to the other kids. This is also where we keep all of our fun schooling books. And down here is Kenzie's Abeka Math, just because she's the only one that does not do CTC math on the computer. She's still doing it in book form. I prefer it for the younger kids, so her math is down here. And over here, these 2 cubes are library books. We usually have, and I see that I did not dust out all of the crumbs there, but anyway, I don't even know what that is. Anyway, so this is where we keep all of our library books because we usually do have a lot of them taken out. And I know that someone is bound to ask me what we had out from the library, so I'll just tell you, it's nothing phenomenal. It's just books about like colonial America and some books on animals. So nothing too earth-shattering right now. Now, as for our read-alouds and the devotional that I use with the middles, I just keep those in my drawer here. And this is where I have my lesson plan book. And down here is this is mostly the stuff that I use. It's pretty dark, but it's most of the stuff that I use for when I'm doing my YouTube channel stuff. The pencils are usually kept in my kids' bins that I showed you over there before, the little pencil cases. But the Ticonderoga pencils stay in my drawer. Although that hasn't really been working very well because I think most of our Ticonderoga pencils are actually in the sofa right now. Other than that, we just have a world map on the living room wall here. We have a United States map on the kitchen wall. And right here is where I just keep our whiteboard. So that's where I write things if we need to have them on the board. And that is it for the organization, if that's what you want to call it, of our homeschool. Is just mainly right here in our living room, and it's been working phenomenally for us. We do our homeschooling here, and right now I really wouldn't have it any other way. That's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one over on Instagram because YouTube disables my comments. And if you like my work and would like to check out my Patreon page, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well. And I hope you have a great day.